Hello, it's Sunday the 1st of May and I'm just about to create an exotic tropical border in the courtyard at the rear of my cottage. And I've just finished planting into the ground these two huge red bananas, Ensete, Ventricosum, Maureli. And if you're into red bananas, I've got a whole playlist on red bananas and I'll put a link to that playlist just up here. And those red bananas will form the structure of this whole border because they will grow up to about 10 or 15 feet high in the high summer. And planted in and amongst and around the base of these red bananas, there are a host of other plants which I class as exotic or tropical. Now, if you're a purist, you might not think that many of these plants are either exotic or tropical. And indeed, they're probably not, but I don't care about that because I'm not a purist. I just know what I like and I know what I'm trying to achieve, and that is a very dense, lush, green and colourful tropical oasis in this south-facing courtyard. And I'm going to describe the ingredients of my exotic tropical border to you in a moment in a bit more detail, but it includes things like bananas and cannas and gingers and colocaceous and tetrapanics, and there's even a Trachycarpus Fortunei. And as you can probably see, Simba's just wandered in. He likes to be the centre of attention. Hello, mate. So let's get into talking about these plants in a little bit more detail, and then I'll plant them in. And I'm going to go right to left, and I've positioned these loosely. I might change the position of some of them as I go round, but this is kind of what I want to achieve. So on the far side here, in this rather small, unassuming pot, I have Tetrapanics T-Rex. Now look, it's a very small plant at the moment, but I can assure you that that has the potential to become a giant with huge leaves. And as I think about it, it's in the shade of this 7-foot tree fern, so I'm already reassessing where I plant these plants. Hello, mate. So I might move this up to the centre where it can be a centrepiece and a feature. I'll come back to that. This one here is a canna. It's Canna Durban, and it has a pinky green variegated leaf, and it has bright orange flowers, and that's going to go in this space here. This space probably looks quite full as we speak, but a lot of the space is taken up by the pots, and when they're in the ground it will probably look quite empty and sparse. This is a small Trachycarpus Fortunei. I've already had to get the saw to it and cut through the roots to get it out of the pot because I didn't want to damage the pot. It's quite dry, but it's quite pot bound, so this is really going to enjoy being in the ground. A little tip for you: if you're using a saw to get a plant out of a pot and it's square like that, go in at an angle. Don't splay the saw like that because you'll never get it out. If you go in at an angle, the wedge will naturally come out quite easily, and that's what I've done. Now, this pot here, I have to confess, I failed to label it. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is, other than the fact I know it's a dwarf canna. It produces bright yellow flowers. It's actually pot bound, and that's not a bad thing because cannas quite enjoy that. But before I plant that, I'm going to take it out of the pot and split it, possibly into 4 plants, so I'll get better value. And as I'm splitting this one, I'm going to do the same thing with this one here. This is known as Canna Musifolia, and you can see it's quite pot bound, so I'm going to divide it up. I'm not sure how many plants I get out of it, but I'll see when I get it out of the pot. It's also known as the banana canna, not surprisingly because it has leaves like a banana plant, so it's well suited to my tropical border. When I've got it out of the pot and split it, I'll decide where I'm putting it. These 2 pots also contain cannas. I failed to label these, so again, I'm at a disadvantage. I can't tell you exactly what they are. But I do know from memory that that one is quite a tall one, so I've put that at the back where it can show itself off against the wall. And this is a dwarf variety. So again, we'll have 2-dimensional depth to the border. Now this is an interesting one, and we've just bought this off a Facebook group on the internet. And this is a colocasia, and colocacias are not normally hardy, but this is supposed to be a hardy colocasia. It's looking a bit limp because it came mail order, bare roots, but it's also already producing a nice new leaf. It's called pink china, and it can stay in the ground all year. In fact, virtually all the plants in this border, I'm going to take a chance with and leave them in the ground throughout the winter. Some of them I know are definitely hardy, others are not so. I'm going to take a gamble because this is a very sheltered courtyard. And if we have the chance or the forecast of any really hard frosts, I'll come out and give them some protection. This one here will be an interesting one if it comes to fruition. Eucomis, and it grows and it looks like a pineapple on top, so I'm hoping for good things with that if it does well, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. At the back here I've got a Salvia that grows quite tall, which is why I've put it up against the wall, and I've got some trellis here and I'm going to use that to my advantage because I've got a Lilly here. I'm going to split this in two and get two plants out of it. I've got two trellises. One will go up this trellis, the other will go up that trellis. And the reason I'm going to use the trellis to my advantage is I remember last year this gets quite tall and willows and wallowy, so I'm going to put it in here at the back, grow it up there and use some twine just to keep it steady. These three here are the same. They're criniums, and they grow quite tall and have a lovely pink flowery blossom on. And we chose this plant for our collection because we saw it at a garden called Woollerton Old Hall in Shropshire, one of my favourite gardens to visit. And I did a video on Woollerton Old Hall, and I'll put the link to that video just here. Do visit it if you get the chance. And all these criniums and several others came from one plant. All the time it's producing little babies, so I think this little group of three here together, when it comes up and forms a nice bush with pink blooms on top, will be quite a feature. So that's crinium, and I'll put the names of all these plants in the description box below. This is a ginger, would you believe, and it will grow quite tall and have lovely orange flowers on it. I did wonder if that had survived the winter or if it had died, but I can just about see some tiny little nodules starting to appear. I think it's starting to appreciate the warmer weather, so that will do well. I've got two of these. They were a gift from a friend called Trevor. Canna Happy Cleo. I've got two. There's one here and one over there in the corner. And then at the back here, you can probably just about see this little clump of what look like rotten roots. This is a type of banana called a golden lotus banana. And I was about to put that on the compost heap, but look, I don't know if you can see, there's some tiny green shoots. I'd already taken it out of the pot and I was about to throw it away, but given that it's got some tiny green shoots on it, I shall give that another chance, and I shall pop it there near the wall where it'll enjoy the heat radiated from the wall, and hopefully it will come back to life. These three here are called Washingtonia robusta, and despite the fact that they're called robusta, they're not very robust because they're not hardy in the UK, and they've been in the shed all winter. The two at the back are looking a little bit worse for wear, but you can see they were very pot bound. I've taken them out of these pots. I've used the pots for something else just today, just recently, and these are going to go in the ground, and hopefully when these roots are allowed some space to run, the plant at the top will come back to life. Again, you can see this one was wedged in this square pot and I've had to use the saw to cut it out. Again, same rules apply. Put your saw in at an angle so that you're forming a wedge, and then the wedge will come out like that and allow you to plant the plant in the ground. I'm pleased about that because I wanted to save these pots, and I didn't have a very happy experience when I tried to get my Trachycarpus Fortunei out of 3 of these pots for the exotic border. In fact, I lost all the pots. I managed to save this one. So again, a little group of 3 there. Washingtonia robusta. There's the Ensete Maureli, which I've just planted. Again, that's going to grow up into the sky in the shelter of this lovely warm wall. That's south facing, that's east facing, so the sun comes up, goes over and bathes these walls in sunlight all day long, and then all night long it radiates that heat. So these are going to do really well in this position this year. Another pink China Caucasia, the hardy Caucasia. 3 more cannas at the back. This piece of wood here just tells me that there's a pipe, there's a waste pipe, a down pipe that just goes to a soakaway down here from that drain pipe, so I need to be careful when I'm digging there. I got about a foot to play with, so I'll be alright with that pot. Another canna. This one is an interesting one. It looks a bit like a ginger. It's called a Cortlaea spicata. And the only reason we got that was because we were advised by a garden centre in Shropshire, and they had some fully grown ones there and they look very jungly, and so we're hoping for great things. A great big pot of cannas which will go in the ground. I might split that, it's such a big pot. And these two here are bananas, Musa Basjoo. These have been in the shed all winter and they've survived, and they're not really hardy, but we're going to take a chance and we're going to leave them in the ground and we're going to protect them. I might build something around them to protect them. I don't want to have to keep digging them up, so I'm going to take a chance with them and leave them in the ground. I know of other people in the UK that have left these in the ground and protected them, and they've survived the winter. So we'll give it a go. If they were huge specimens, I wouldn't risk it, but they're not, so we'll give it a chance. Another pot of criniums, and just to demonstrate the point, let me show you this main bulb here with lots of little babies all growing out around the side. And you see that there, and that's how quickly and efficiently they reproduce. That's going in there. This one is a big purple leaf canna, by the way, so again that'll look quite nice next to the red leaves of this Ensete Maureli. And I've just got another little canna at the back there, and we're back where we started, and that's the whole border planned out. All I need to do now is get them all planted in and given a good water. So I'm not going to make you endure me planting all these plants. I'll get them in the ground and then I'll come back at the end to say goodbye. So here we are, a couple of hours of hard work later, and it's all planted, and I've earned myself a beer and a hot bath. The tropical garden is finished virtually. I've just got to order a ton of bark chips to top dress it. So we've got criniums, Trachycarpus Fortunei, several cannas, Tetrapanics T-Rex, Colocasia, some Dicksonia robusta palms, and Ensete Maureli, which is a massive giant red banana, 2 more bananas, and Musa Basjoo, some more criniums, and another Ensete Maureli. And all this will suddenly spring into life as the sun starts to arrive, coming into May and June. So this will become a complete mass of jungle-like plants. You won't be able to see this wall for cannas and bananas and other exotic plants. If you subscribe and hit the notifications bell, you'll be able to come back for an update, because I will post an update. In fact, some of the plants I can't remember where I've planted, so I won't know where they are until they sprout up, but I know there's about 15 cannas in here and in here. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon.